Hey guys, it's John Moore with the Texas College Football Show. This is the Week 12 preview. We're doing the Week 12 countdown this week. We're going to recap what happened in Week 11. It was a big, not much changed, just a couple of teams changed. But man, we have some impressive wins this weekend to talk about. We're going to talk about those schools and where they land in the 13 FBS schools. Hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a like. Give us some comments if you like this. If you hate this, we'll respond to it. We don't ignore it. If you don't like this, respond to it. But there was a lot of big movement around the Texas College Football FBS as far as what happened. We did pretty well. We were six. Let's see, what did we do this week? We were 6-3 overall. There were 9 games this week. There were only a few that had a bye. We are 85-36 overall. 85-36 overall. Again, let me preface this again. That is not against the spread. That's just who's going to win the game each week. And my Aggie friends, if you see me wearing the maroon here, I am not wearing Aggie's colors. Everyone knows I'm a Longhorn, but I am wearing Missouri State. I've got a son that goes to Missouri State. So I want to talk about some things when we get down to it, but we're going to start at number 13 and some that haven't changed. Let's go to number 13. Number 13 is Sam Houston. Sam Houston beat Oregon. They won their first game this week. Kudos to Sam Houston, 21-17. This was a miss for me. They are 1-8 overall. They are 1-5 in conference. Look, Phil Longo is the guy that you know. I don't know what they're doing there. He was an offensive guru. They have not had great offense. Hunter Watson's the quarterback there. They've also got Mabry Matura, who's been playing some. It's kind of been back and forth. They're not throwing. I think I saw where Mature was the starter this week and threw for like 48 yards, something to that effect. I mean, that's Rice numbers. At least Rice wins games. This week, November 15th, this Saturday, they are playing at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're playing on ESPN. They are going they're hosting Delaware. Delaware is an 8.5-point favorite. The over-under is 56.5. I think Delaware is going to win this game, and I think they're going to cover that spread. I have just not been impressed with Longo this year. It's his first year. He gets a pass on that, but, boy, he has not done anything extremely impressive there. I think Delaware wins that 31-20. Let's look at the season totals and where we're sitting. We are 4-5 overall. You can see I predicted them to go 7-5 this year. Boy, was I wrong. Beginning of the year, I picked them to go 7-5. I am 4-5 on the season from the beginning of the year. Now, I have made some changes during the year, and during the week. Like, I started out good, but I had them winning New Mexico State, Jacksonville State, UTEP, all that, and they ended up losing those. So, but I did have I am allowed to change my weekly picks from the beginning of the year, but I do always want to recap the beginning of the year where I thought each team was going to be. This is what I'm going to miss on pretty badly. Unfortunately, this was not good. Let's go to number 12. Number 12 are the UTEP Miners that lost to Jacksonville State 30-27. Scotty Walden there has got this team 2-7. They are 1-4 overall. In Conference USA, this was a miss also. I thought that they would beat Jacksonville State, and I was wrong. This Saturday, they are at Missouri State. That's why I'm wearing the colors here, Missouri State, as you can see there. I am wearing that. My son is there, so he's going to get to go to that game. It's at 2 p.m. Central Time. It's on ESPN+. Missouri State has picked to win this by 4.5, and there's a 50.5-point over-under. I got Missouri State winning. They've been impressive. I don't know if you've looked what MSU's done this year. First year in at the CFP level, FBS level, and they're I think they're like 6-3 right now, something like that. They've done pretty well. I think they've got this one at 27-24. Let's go to number 11. Oops. Oh, UTEP for the year. I'm sorry. Let's go to that. What did we have? We're 5-4 on them. I had them going 6-6 this year. Like I said, they're only 2-7 so far. I'm not going to get that. Hopefully, I mean, if I'm wrong and they lose, if I'm wrong and they beat Missouri State, because I have Missouri State winning, but I have them beating Missouri State at the beginning of the year. Maybe I'll be wrong there. Good for UTEP if they pull it out against Missouri State. I will get my star there on that one. But unfortunately, I think they're going to I think Missouri State's going to win this game. Now let's go to number 11. Boy, you talk about a team that has fallen down, and that's G.J. Kinney and Texas State. Number 11 is Texas State. They lost to Louisiana 42-39. Same Louisiana team that lost to Rice at the beginning of the year. G.J. Kinney is 0-5 in the Sun Belt Conference. He's 3-6 overall. This is a guy that's been mentioned on with a lot of teams this year. He's an offensive guy. He's an offensive guru. This was a miss also for me this week because I thought they would beat Louisiana. I especially thought it because I thought if Rice beat him, I thought Texas State could. This Saturday, they are going to be at Southern Miss. This isn't going to be good. I don't think it's going to be that good for them at Southern Miss. It's on ESPN Plus at 2:30 Central Time. Southern Miss is picked to win by 6.5 points. Over under at 64.5. I've got Southern Miss winning this one 34-28. Let's see what we did at the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, I had them going 9-3. I was, however, unbelievably wrong. I thought they would be competing for the Sun Belt Conference. They're not. I am 6-3 on my picks this year. They have lost some games I thought they were going to win, and then they have won some games that I didn't think they were going to. So, 6-3 is where we sit right now. Actually, all three of my losses on this were games I thought they were going to win, and it's why they're not going to be 9-3 at the end. I guess they could. They could finish out with wins and end up 9-3. It would just be a different way from what I picked at the beginning of the year. I don't know. G.J. Kinney's name is probably not being mentioned for any of these jobs now. There's really only one guy out of this besides like Elko. Everybody talks about Elko, and we all know that's not going to happen, but that's really the only name that's being bannered around. Okay, we're going to go to number 10. Number 10 and down a spot, UTSA, the Roadrunners. They lost to Southern Florida 55-23. Boy, this team right here is a Jekyll and Hyde team. I cannot figure them out. They blow away. Last week they had just an unbelievably blowout win last week. Against Tulane, who everybody, I picked it as a win at the beginning of the year, but I thought they were going to lose that game, and they blew out Tulane over there. So, we're back here again. This week they're playing at Charlotte at 11 a.m. on Saturday. ESPN Plus, UTSA is favored to win by 17.5 points. That's a little much for me. 60.5 over and under. I do think they're going to beat Charlotte, who's not good this year, but I don't know if they're going to cover the 17. I've got them winning this one 35-17. So that's also going to be the under on that one. Let's go back and look what we did from the beginning of the year. I had them going 7-5. I'm 7-2 so far in my picks this year. They have not been great. Jeff Traylor's and everyone whose name is kind of being mentioned out there, they're not doing too well. And this is one that we all thought Jeff Traylor was going to be for Oklahoma State. Now, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. There's just other names out there. Good Lord. All right, let's go to number 9. Number 9, we got the Rice Owls. Last week they lost to UAB 24-17. This was a hit for me. I had them losing to them. They're 5-5 overall. They're 2-4 in conference play. If you look at the beginning of the year, they got a bye this week, by the way. They are not going to be playing this week. They're up a spot with that win over UAB. And with the loss for UTSA, they passed them up. Again, when you're doing this and the records are close, right now, boy, it's a toss-up for me on whether or not I think that Rice could beat UAB. Could beat Texas State and on a neutral field. That's kind of my go-to on that. But, Rice beat Louisiana. If you go here, Rice beat Louisiana. And Texas State, if you go back to Texas State, that's who they lost to this week was Louisiana. So, there's your toss-up right there. I'm 9-1 in what I picked them to do. I had them going 4-8 this year. They've lost a few of the games that I thought they were going to, but they won that game against Louisiana that I did not think. They're on the verge of possibly, their next game on the bye this week, but then they play North Texas. I think they're going to get boat raced by North Texas, quite honestly, and then South Florida. Those are two games that I have as losses, and I think they're going to be Scotty Bell has done a great job. Chase Jenkins is their quarterback. I think he's only thrown for like 900 yards this year. They run this. They have a running attack. They don't have a passing attack. They don't really have a passing quarterback. But Scott Bell is good at what he does, coming in for what he's doing there with a school that focuses on academics, and it's a little bit tougher to get into. They do get athletes there, but they don't get athletes like you get at some of these bigger schools. All right, let's go to number 8. The Baylor Bears. They had a bye this last week. They were 5-4, and they're 3-3 overall in Big 12. Now, this week, they're hosting Utah at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's on ESPN2. Utah's picked to win this game by 8.5 points. It's 60.5 over and under. This is another Jekyll and Hyde team that I cannot figure out. Dave Aranda, if Dave Aranda's seat isn't warming up, I don't know why. There have been some outside grumblings of maybe Stanford might be someplace he would like to go. He's not doing it here. I mean, he was the LSU defensive coordinator, which has got him the job there. I think this week they're going to lose to Utah 28-24. I think it'll be a little closer than possible. Now, if Sawyer Robinson does what he can do, they could win. They could beat Utah by 20 points. I mean, Sawyer Robinson, we've seen him have some amazing games, but he just hasn't been consistent this year. Let's look at the tail of the tape from the beginning of the year. I'm 6-3 overall. I thought they were going to go 6-6. And right now, if you look at it, you know what? They're 5-4 right now, and coming into these last 3 games, 5-4. Beginning of the year, I would have predicted they win those. They've got to beat Utah. I think is going to be a loss. I think they're going to lose that one. I think they're going to lose to Houston. Quite honestly, Arizona, that's probably a win. They had a good chance here to go about 7-5. Maybe that 6-6 is a reality if they lose 2 of these next, or if they lose all 3 of these. Where they're sitting right now. Okay, guys, we're going to go to number 7. Number 7. TCU Horned Frogs lost to Iowa State 20-17. It's kind of a funny story. I went over to Fort Worth to Joe T. Garcia's this weekend, and I looked at they don't get good reception there. They lost 20-17. They're 6-3 overall. They're 3-3. This was a miss. I thought they were going to win this game. I cannot believe how bad that changed. They were winning 17-6 going into the fourth quarter. And I don't know exactly what happened. I didn't watch it. I was 2 hours in line waiting to go to Joe T. Garcia's. All the TCU people start showing up, not happy. And then when I finally got some reception, I was like, oh my God, they ended up losing that game. Ran into Reed Ryan there. If y'all know who Reed Ryan is, he's the son of Nolan Ryan, who's a big TCU alum. He was not happy either with what they saw. November 15th, this weekend, they are at BYU. It's a 9 p.m. Central Standard Time game. BYU is picked to win this game by 5.5 with the 51.5 over under. I think TCU will win this game. I got them picked to win at 28-21. I'm not impressed with BYU. I don't get how they were undefeated. I mean, I got to go back and look at that schedule. Obviously, it's not that hard of a schedule, and they've won some games they probably shouldn't. That was not a good BYU team. Texas Tech is a good team, and they beat BYU like I thought they should be BYU. When you got a number 6 and a number 18 playing, one of them has a loss, and the team that's number 8's picked to win by close to 2 touchdowns. That's the spread in that game. It tells you nobody else thought BYU was pretty good. And boy, did Texas Tech kick the crap out of them. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm not impressed. I think TCU will beat them. I don't know how that wasn't. I mean, it was an impressive win because they won it like they should have. But the Big 12, let me be very clear. The Big 12 is getting one team in, and it's whoever wins the conference championship. There's no other way. I guess maybe, you know what? A 10-2 Texas Tech does not get in. They're not going to get in. They need to win out to get in. They need to win the championship. They need to win the Big 12 championship. Of course, I don't see anybody can hang with them right now. They are a legit team, but the Big 12 is not getting two teams in. They're just not going to get 2 teams in. Let's look at the tail of the tape. I picked them to go 8-4 this year. I'm 7-2 so far. I do have the BYU game as a loss, which would put me, if they win out here, that would put me that if they win these 3 games, that's going to put my win-loss total there up better than I thought. So 8-4 right now on TCU. All right, we're going to go down to number 7. We're going to go down to number 6. Houston, who beat University of Central Florida 30-27. They are 8-2 overall, 5-2 in conference. That's a hit for me. They do have a bye this week. They are not playing this week. Willie Fritz might be a name that gets looked at. I know he's only in his second year at University of Houston, but he's turned Houston around, and this guy's had success everywhere he's gone, especially at the lower level, CFP level, at the G5 level. But not G5, the lower level. But good Lord, I like what Willie Fritz is doing. He might be somebody that gets a better job going away from Houston right now with what he's done. I had them going 7-5 this year. They're 8-2 so far, so I'm not going to do that. I'm 7-3 so far. I'm 7-3 with what I have them doing. So good for Houston on that. Now we are ready to go into our top five, and our top five is going to start with SMU, who beat Boston College and ripped Boston College 45-13. They're 7-3 overall, 5-1 in the ACC. I'll tell you what, ACC is another team that's only going to get one team in. Miami's lost. You've got Miami that's lost. You've got, I think at the top of there now is Duke. SMU is right in contention there. But this is the ACC isn't getting in two teams. They're only going to get whoever gets in. I mean, Clemson's falling off a cliff. They're not going to get in. SMU still has a chance. Let's look at what they did they have a bye this week, so they're not playing. But they're 5-5 in my picks overall. I had them going 10-2. They do have a chance to go 10-2, but they're going to have to win these last two games. Coming back after the bye week, they're going to have to beat Louisville and Cal, which I think they can beat both of them. And they would end the season 10-2 like I thought, with just two losses that I didn't see. I thought they would beat Baylor and TCU, and that's not the two losses I thought. Anyway, good for them. Let's go to, well, what are they? They're 7-3 overall. They're not going to finish 10-2. They're 7-3, so they have a chance to go 9-3 is what they're going to be. Only way they'll get in at 9-3 is by winning the ACC, and they might win out. They might have a chance to get that ACC championship in doing that. Let's go to the top four. Number 4, and still number 4, North Texas. Enjoy this. I've said this over and over at North Texas. Eric Morris is not going to be there. His name is all over the place for a couple of job openings that are out there. I think actually the Oklahoma State job is the one that I think he'll get. There's been some grumblings of some other names, but Eric Morris is doing amazing things. They are 8-1. They're 4-1 in the American Conference. This Saturday, they are at UAB. They're picked to win by 17.5 points with an over and under of 70.5. I don't know if they get to 70.5. They're going to cover that 17.5, though. I've got UNT winning this one 45-21. UAB is not that good. They got rid of what's his name? They fired what's his name earlier in the year, another job that's opened up. He ain't going there, though. He's going to be going to a Power 4 school, I think, in my opinion. I had them going 7-5 this year. I'm 5-4 so far in my picks from the beginning of the year. They have a chance where they're at now to surpass that. They've already won more games than that. So they've already won 8 games. This is a good team, really good team. And I think that they can beat SMU. It'd be a hell of a game, but man, I think they could beat SMU. That's why I've got them where they are. Let's go to number 3. Texas Tech. Texas Tech beat BYU 29-7. They are 9-1 overall. They are 6-1 in the Big 12. This was a hit. We had them winning this game. It was a good win for Texas Tech. College game day was there because they don't like to go to two places. They don't like to go to the same place more than once. Because I think, maybe they might have been better served going to I don't know, but with what A&M did, that maybe going there, I don't know. But let me tell you something, Texas Tech. You need to win the Big 12 because the Big 12 is getting one team in and one team only. You should win the Big 12. This week you play UCF. You're picked by 23.5 points. I've got you covering that. I've got you winning 38-10 over UCF, who stinks. Let's look at your schedule and what you got remaining. Look, I had Texas Tech going 9-3. I think that they're gonna end up in right now with where they are right now. Were they they're 9-1. They're going to end up 11-1 because they are going to beat UCF and they're going to beat. Then they're going to have a bye week after that, and then they're going to beat West Virginia. They're going to end up going 11-1. Then they're going to go to the Big 12 championship. I don't know who they'll play there. I mean, BYU could win out, and they could end up playing BYU again, but BYU's not good. They're not that good. Utah's another one that's really kind of come on all of a sudden. They're starting to get their legs again, but they've already beat Utah. They beat everyone in that in the Big 12. And I'm telling you right now, don't go to the Big 12 and screw up and lose, because the Big 12's if the Big 12 gets an automatic bid and you make it to the Big 12 championship at 11-1, and you end up losing to say BYU again, BYU who you play again and they beat you, or Utah comes in and they're better prepared and they beat you, you're not going, because that team's going to get that bid. They're not going to be two teams from the Big 12 get into it. I'm sorry, they're just not. Not with what with the Big 10 and SEC, between them, they're probably going to get 8 teams in, or 7, at least 7 teams between them. One of them's going to get 5, one of them's going to get 2, or they're going to get 6 and 2. I don't know. It'll be 7 or 8 teams come in from the SEC and from there. Anyway, there's that. Let's go to number 2. Texas Longhorns. Very close game this week, but they did tie in the bye. Little joke there. 7-2 over 1. They're 4-1, and they control their destiny. Why do I have them at number 2 over Texas Tech? They're better than Texas Tech. Texas Tech fans can throw a fit. They are, and so is A&M, who's better than Texas. So right now, you go to a neutral field with Texas and Texas A&M playing Texas Tech, and Texas Tech, I don't know that Texas Tech hangs within 2 scores, quite honestly. And let me be very clear when I say that. It's not everybody give Arch crap. That's fine. He's looking better the last couple of weeks. That's fine, but that's not the reason. Texas defense will hold Baron Morton down. I mean, Baron Morton has not been fantastic. Injuries have not been great. And look at what Texas and Texas A&M do to quarterbacks. I'm sorry, they're not. They would just obliterate them. Now, this week, Texas is at Georgia. This is the big game. They play at 6:30. It's the ABC game. Georgia is picked to win by 6.5 points. It's 47.5 over under. Guys, I don't see it. I want Texas to win, and Texas can win. I think with that defense, and if Arch Manning and that offense plays the way it played against Vanderbilt, let's be honest, what happened at Vanderbilt had nothing to do with Arch. He was fantastic. The way he played the second half of that Mississippi State game, where he's gotten in a rhythm, he's starting to look at everybody's starting to compare Arch Manning to Marcel Reed, and they're saying, well, Marcel Reed's so much better than Arch Manning. He's really not. Marcel Reed's a good quarterback, very good quarterback. But you look at their numbers, they're basically the same thing once you get 9 games in them. They are basically the same. One of them started 6 or 7 games last year. One of them didn't. Arch Manning's growing. They're putting up the same numbers. They've both thrown right around 2,200 yards. They both got, I think Marcel has 19 touchdowns. I think he has 19 touchdowns. I think Arch has 18. They both have 6 interceptions. They've both rushed for about the same amount of touchdowns. They're the same player. No way A&M doesn't want want Arch over Marcel Reed. Texas doesn't want Marcel Reed over Arch Manning. So they're both happy with the quarterbacks they've got. If Arch Manning in Texas plays the way they played there, I think they can shut down that Georgia offense. Georgia runs the ball okay, but if you apply pressure to Gunnar Stockton, you can do things. We've seen it during the year. Every SEC game except the Mississippi State game, Georgia's had to come back because they've gotten down. Other teams have jumped on them and gotten down. Let me tell you what, you get down to Texas, that defense can smother you. They really can. If they start trying to play, if they can control it. Now, they have to control it and keep Georgia off the field to do that. The only reason I am not picking Texas to win this game is because they're playing at Georgia, and that's tough to play at. But it is going to be a close game. For everyone that thinks that this game isn't going to be close, it is. And I think they're going to cover the 47.5 too. I've got them, I guess I've got them under on this one, 28-27. But I tell you what, it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down right to the end. It could be a special teams play, a defensive play. It could be a late interception or something to that. But I think that what happens here is Georgia pulls it out and beats them 28-7, which will not hurt Texas. I think Texas will fall a little bit, but when you fall to the number 5 team and you barely lose that game, and it looks like you had that game and you're that good, you're going to fall from probably 10 down to 14, but it's going to come back up if you beat Texas A&M. You're going to put yourself back in playoff contention. The only school that has a chance to get in at 9-3 right now is probably Texas, because they're ending on a note where they're playing two of the top 5 teams in the country in their last 3 games. You're asking a lot. If they somehow win these last 3 games, of course they're playing for the big. They're going to be playing for the SEC championship, because what they will have done, they'll both have one loss, and they will have beat A&M, and that would put them in the SEC. Could you imagine that beating A&M? Right now, it looks like Alabama will win out. I think Alabama's going to beat Oklahoma this weekend. And if Alabama wins out, they're going to the SEC championship. If Texas beats Georgia and then beats Arkansas, that's a scary one too. Arkansas, they come out of no place and can beat some teams too. But let's say Texas does beat Arkansas and Georgia, and they go into that game. At that point, they would be 9-2 heading into the game. A&M is not going to lose. We're going to go over that in just a second. A&M's not going to lose their next. I mean, I guess people are talking about, what's happening with South Carolina, who they're playing this week. My pick isn't going to happen. I'm going to have them winning that game, just like I did with Vanderbilt. I'm going to clarify some things on that, on my pick against that going there. But they could do it. Let's look at the schedule for Texas. Obviously, I had them going 12-0. I'm off on that. I'm 7-2 so far. I think the Georgia game is a loss. They could totally win, but I think it's going to be a close game. They win at Arkansas. Can you imagine going into that A&M game with no? Let's say they beat Georgia. You beat Georgia. You go into that A&M game, and all you got to do is you beat A&M. You're playing the SEC championship game, because there's both A&M and Texas would have one loss if they do beat Georgia and they beat Arkansas. They would both have one loss, and Texas would get the tiebreaker. With as good as Texas A&M has been all year, it would be a kick to the crotch to Texas A&M. Honestly, though, A&M is going to be 11-1, or it's going to be 12-0 or 11-0 by the time we get to that game. They're not going to lose to South Carolina. And Samford, I think I saw today, Samford fired their coach, which that was not caused by A&M, which is the running joke, because they've had like 4 coaches get fired this year. But that would be interesting. Let's go to our number 1 team. That Texas was number 2. Number 1, Texas A&M. This was my 5-star pick of the week. I had they beat Missouri 38-17. I had them winning 31-17. I got some flack because someone had put out, hey, who's the most likely team to get upset in week 11? I said the most likely team was probably Georgia, because Mississippi State is capable of, and Georgia's had some trouble with every team they've played this year. In every SEC game, they've fallen behind. They went out, and thankfully, I was really happy that they beat the hell out of Mississippi State. I didn't want them to have a loss coming into that game against Texas. But A&M is 9-0, 6-0 in SEC play. This was a hit. This week they play South Carolina. They're picked to win by 17.5. That's a little much for me. On 17.5, I have them beaten 34-20. I got them winning that by 2 scores easy. I just don't know. And the reason could they win by 17? Sure, they could win by 28 in this game. I think there's a point when you've got this win and you got Samford coming after that. You start maybe putting in some backups, or maybe you just call the dogs off. You just look, when you get up by 2 scores going to third and fourth quarter, you're trying to eat clock, get the game over with. So all you got to basically do is run the ball, keep the ball, have sustain some drives. And if they're, that's why I wonder. And then there could be a late touchdown by South Carolina, Lenore Sellers or something else to do that. But I don't think they ever get within more than 2 touchdowns. That's my personal opinion. Could South Carolina upset A&M? In this league, anybody can upset anybody. Look what Texas did against Mississippi State and Kentucky. And I don't care what anyone says. They're better teams than both of them, but they almost crapped the bed on that and lost those games. Those teams came out fired up and started kicking Texas' ass. Texas just had the athletes and pulled it out at the end. They were just the better team by the time it was over with. And yes, you cause teams to make mistakes. Now, I want to talk about the reason that we said about this. I said that Georgia was the most likely to get upset, but I said the 2 teams that should be on upset alert, should be A&M was one of them, and Can't remember who the other one was. And I said, and somebody said, clown show. You think they're going to lose? Look what happened. They posted the score 34-17. I said, I didn't predict A&M to get upset. I just said they should be on upset alert. This is, A&M's have passed screw-up games like this. I didn't think they would because I think they've been playing good on both sides of the ball. Now, let me be very clear on that score. It was an impressive win. And, yes, everyone's given A&M it's unfortunate they're giving them crap. They're giving them a bunch of flack because they played a third-string quarterback. That's why I said they would win. I did not think a third-string quarterback, a true freshman, could beat the A&M defense. I just didn't see it. But yes, A&M beat a third-string quarterback, a ranked team, and they beat them badly, 38-17. But they did what they're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do. They beat LSU bad because LSU's not good this year. They beat Arkansas pretty soundly. So people are looking at this schedule and going, they're not having to play Alabama. They're not having to play Georgia. And that happens. You have a schedule that, seems to be a little softer, but at the beginning of the year, you were looking at LSU. You were looking at Florida, who people thought was going to be better. Some people had Auburn going to be better. It's not A&M's fault that those teams aren't good. Just like last year, it wasn't Texas' fault that they ran into some schools that weren't as good and hurt DJ Lagway against Texas last year. And Texas beat the hell out of Florida. That's the way that the cookie crumbles. And so when you're playing a third-string true freshman quarterback, you should win 38-17. So that's an impressive win. So you got to give A&M credit on that. So I think A&M's the most sound team offensively and defensively. Do I think Texas can beat them? Of course I do. And they're playing in Austin. If Texas plays offense the way they're playing, that defense can give Marcel Reed fits. It will be the absolute best defense. Don't go look at Kentucky and don't go look at Mississippi State and try to say this defense has holes. It doesn't. They were missing defensive backs Kentucky just came out and smacked them in the mouth before they woke up and became Texas that they are. But Texas did not have their two safeties against Mississippi State, or they didn't have them in their last game against Vanderbilt either. Both their safeties were hurt. And so that's why holes open up and you start playing that prevent defense at the end of the game and let Vanderbilt back in that game. But Texas defense can give Marcel Reed will face the best defense he's faced in Texas. And Texas shut him down last year. They shut Marcel down last year. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun one to do. Guys, we're done. It's fun. We're going in. I cannot believe we're in week 12. This is week 12 coming up. Big games for both these schools. I think they're going to beat South Carolina. Texas has the Georgia game. We'll see what happens there. Until next week, guys, we will see you on the gridiron.